Hey, I'm Al McGee with YETicket.com. Well, the film I'm going to talk about right now is called Russia. Yeah, this is a World War II film about, well, D-Day, June 6th. And if you're not familiar with that, well, this will give you a little bit more insight about it. Now, Pressure is based on a play, and it is directed by Anthony Morris. In this, we got one of the best presidents we had and generals, Eisenhower. Here, he's talking about when is the best day for the weather for them to, do the launch in Normandy. Now, if you're all familiar with the Allied invasion, or they call it D-Day, you've seen it in other movies, and it's still been talked about over the decades now since it happened in 1944, June 6th. But here, they wanted to do it on June the 5th. Who changed that date? Well, the persons who changed that date was exactly a guy named Captain James Stagg. Captain James Stagg was an English meteorologist. Now you got to remember back in the day, they didn't have these, well, we have computers and things like that. They had to send balloons in the air, then they had to call another country, hey, how's the weather there? And things like that. But he's a English meteorologist, a very serious guy. And also in this film, he has a pregnant wife in this. And Stagg, which is played by Andrew Scott, who's a very good actor. I've seen him in many things. He stood his ground. But Eisenhower, he had his own meteorologist, American meteorologist, Irvin P. Crick, played by Chris Musina. And I will admit that this guy did a good thing for Eisenhower over the time of World War II. Now, Eisenhower is played by an actor who won an Academy Award, and his name is Brendan Fraser. I will admit, at first, it was kind of hard for me to believe that Brendan Fraser was the right D. Eisenhower because I grew up with Eisenhower. He was on TV when I was a young man, a young kid, matter of fact. And I got to know some of him and what he looked like. But then as the movie progressed, he did deliver a strong portrayal of Dwight D. Eisenhower. You can see the guy was a chain smoker and things like that. And he also, he had to make sure everything was correct because you sending in hundreds of thousands of young men. I'm talking about teenagers, young men who never been anywhere, never did anything in their lives. They had to go to war during that time. And that war was devastating, especially to England and the world. Almost all of Europe was taken by the Germans. And the United States, they had to fall into it. They didn't want to, but we finally did. And I must admit, Dwight D. Eisenhower wanted to make sure that the weather was going to be great or at least decent so it won't be devastating when they landed on D-Day. And Pressure really works very well on for us, the audience, to understand what they went through and also what they had to concede what was the best thing to win this war. Because if we didn't win that war, well, I wouldn't be talking in this computer right now. Also, in this film, too, they got a great supporting cast. Carrie Condon, Chris Messina, Damian Lewis is in this. Yeah, he's in this film, too. He plays another general, did a lot of remarks. But they had to all make sure that the weather gave them a break because they couldn't delay it because it's many people who knows about it already and they didn't want the Germans to know. And they had to go forward with it so they can win the war or go ahead to progress to win the war. And that invasion was very, very important. I'm a veteran myself and during the Vietnam era, and I understand what they had to go through in a room there in England to determine when to conduct D Day. I feel that Studio Canal, the production company, did a great job with this film, and it is very intense. I really enjoyed it. Also, they're billing this as an untold story of D Day. I never heard about this before. I'm sure there's many other people who never heard about this before until either they saw the play or until this film is coming out. And you can only see it in the movie theaters. And I would recommend you see it on the big screen. I love the big screen. And this story, I'm glad they told it in this film. I'm going to get us three palm trees out of four. Three palm trees out of four. I feel the actors did a great job in this film. Pressure. Hey, thanks for watching my review of Pressure from me, Al McGee, here at yeticket.com. I appreciate it. Thank you.
This is your entertainment ticket. Latest and greatest.